let's see. We have to we got to get started here, Kelly. We've got to show us, you have to show us your tech stack, and everybody's really excited to see what you've got going on in your firm.
Oh my gosh. Everybody is super, super excited about this. So I'm thrilled. So I'll go ahead and skip this over. And really, it's like you were saying kind of last time, Heather, people know us here. So light introductions. I'm Liz Scott, and I run a consulting firm. And Heather, what do you do?
I do lots of things. My job right now is I am the director of education and media at Woodard. So I am in charge of the content that's going to be presented at Scaling New Heights. I'm also the editor of the Woodard Report, which is our online magazine. I do a little coaching. I do a little horseback riding. I do a little other things. So,
how's Marley?
Marley's doing well. I had them. So I'm in New Mexico for a couple of weeks. And so I'm away from her, but they sent me a text. She was she was decked out in her pink fly sheet and pink fly mask so that the flies won't bother her. But she looks very pink today.
Cute. I only asked for reference, like people are like, what? She was injured, I want to say last year. And so
that's right.
I was asking how she was doing because I wanted to see if
she's recovered. Doing much better. I mean, she's happy and she's beautiful and she's doing well, but yeah, she got an injury that's not life-threatening or anything, but it's one of those injuries that when a horse gets it, you tell other horse owners what kind of injury it is and they go, because it can end a horse's career. But like I said, not life-threatening. It really honestly doesn't bother her at all. It just means I can't, do crazy things like jump her over 6-foot pole fences or anything.
Okay. Okay. Fair.
When we all meet a certain age, some of those things that we used to do are done. It's okay. It's okay.
Yep. Fine. That's right. That's right.
So Kelly, you've got an adorable puppy, keeping on theme with animals, and we got to hang out and talk about pups last week. But do you want to share some more about you and your firm, especially since we're going to be highlighting your firm today?
Sure. So Totally Booked is the name of my firm. And it'll be 8 years now. I started my firm 8 years ago. And since then, I still have my firm and I've gone on to do some different speaking and training. I get to work with both of you guys a lot. And I always feel so silly, but it's on here. I've won some awards from Top 100 and Top 50 Cloud Accountant. And I mean, I still have my firm. I'm still doing bookkeeping. I'm still doing accounting. I feel like I always kind of have to say that. People are always like, what are you up to? Are you still doing? And it's like, yes, absolutely, every day. And yeah, I specialize in e-commerce. So I think we're going to highlight a lot of those things and kind of focus on some different apps because I do love technology. And I love being able to plug different stuff into QuickBooks and all of some of my internal stuff. And I'm excited to share all of it. Do you guys think
we're grateful that you're sharing it because, one of the things that we all have experienced is when somebody gives us some of the insider information that they've gone through some of those, trials and skinned knees, but then came on the other side and had success and then share that. It gives other people a growing opportunity as well. So
yeah,
super awesome that you're here.
I kind of always say like, from you guys, when I first started sharing your stories and kind of just talking about different struggles and even different wins, it kind of it makes you realize that there's other people just like you and that have like hurdles just like you, and you're not alone, and there's people you can talk to and reach out to. And if you're stuck on something, like I'm glad that I have a close circle of friends, accounting friends, but people that I can ask when I have questions or if I'm confused about something or whatever that looks like. So I agree. Always happy to share.
Yeah, I love that about our community. And Matthew's saying the same thing. Good, bad. I mean, it's one of those things that's nice about us being close is that it's honest. And sometimes there is the bad. There's things about our industry that it's not just you, like we all feel.
Yeah.
So to hear other people say that, it kind of validates, and it's reassuring to hear other people say, yeah, I've struggled with that. And, maybe not a perfect fix, but maybe here's some insights as to maybe how to make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you're right. I think it is a validation. I mean, being an accountant and being a bookkeeper, it's a lot of pressure. I mean, you're dealing with your clients' financial lives, and it's easy to get, especially if you're a solopreneur, solo practitioner, or have a small firm, it's easy to become siloed, and you're trying to solve really complex problems. And when you're trying to do that yourself without having the community behind you to kind of bounce ideas off of, or to share in wins or failures, because those happen all the time.
Yeah.
It can be a lot of pressure. So having the community that we have is such a gift, because hearing, having someone else that's doing the same things that you're doing say, oh my gosh, that's a great idea, or I felt that way before, you've got this, that's really helpful. It empowers you.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I think so too. And talking about your firm, this kind of gives everybody a little bit of insight as to your firm and size. So do you want to go ahead and share just a little bit more about the kinds of clients that you serve? You're kind of getting into that a minute ago, but then also I like that you're sharing also your growth goals. So maybe put some insights into some firm.
It's me. I am the team member. I do work with some different contractors, and actually I had done a Spark on the Grove, and one of the things I spoke about was being a solo bookkeeper. And part of that is that you can work with contractors, you can work for different companies. It doesn't mean that you're, alone necessarily. But I am the team member. I would say I have about 20 bookkeeping clients, like routine clients. And I specialize in e-commerce, which I feel like I talk a lot about actually, but I kind of happened upon it. I was actually very much trying to avoid it because I thought it would be too complicated. Sales tax and just different moving pieces with marketplaces and merchant fees and all the things. And then I kind of figured that with as much as I love technology and that type of industry, a lot of that stuff is, SaaS products and using different tech to either create a product or sell a product and whatever that looks like. And so I kind of leaned into it, and I'm really glad I did because I do love working with e-commerce clients. And yeah, I don't plan to grow. Grow my client base, I would say, but not my employees. I, for a very brief period of time, had one employee and it was totally not my jam. So I'm happy with that.
I think it's good to know like where you like to fit in, and there's definitely a need for being someone who has a handful of clients, and that's what you serve and that's what you do, and there's no reason to grow past what you need to pay the bills.
Yeah, I agree.
It does create a harmony whenever you know what that routine is going to be.
Yeah,
and
I think. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that, that's the benefit of owning your own practice, is that you get to call the shots, and you get to understand the things that you enjoy doing, the type of clients you enjoy working with, and what you don't enjoy doing, and the type of clients you don't enjoy working with. That is a huge benefit of having your own firm.
Yeah.
There's also lots of great benefits of being part of a team as well.
Oh, for sure.
But I always really enjoyed the flexibility and agility of being, a smaller firm.
Yeah. I think growing up, whenever I thought of somebody owning a company or being part of a company, in my mind, at least, it's always big, right? Corporation or, something with a big office. It kind of never really occurred to me that it could be a person, just one or two people and small, in our case, firm, but it just really had never occurred to me. It was not something I was around, regularly, small business or anything like that. So as I started to learn and started to really grow my practice, I guess, I realized that we're like all different shapes and sizes, right? Like we can have as many or as little, and it's up to us. And we don't have to do what we were told or taught growing up, and we can kind of embrace whatever works. And I think that, like you said, the flexibility and that agility, that's probably my favorite part of that. Yeah.
Well, and I love it that Matthew, he just threw in a comment and he said it's time for work-life harmony. And, accounting, bookkeeping, and harmony is not something that we provide ourselves or think about enough. Like, I think that we go into that rescue mode for our clients,
Yeah.
but oftentimes it's not reciprocated and we don't get that back for ourselves. We're just constantly doling it out. So I think it's really important that we stop and we think about that harmony for ourselves and our lives, and where do we draw the line? And
Right.
that kind of feeds over into this next comment that Scott's got. He was like 20 clients. He was like, how much time are you spending per week? So that might kind of vary.
I'm like, let's see. So, I mean, if we look at a 40-hour work week, let's say, which I strive for and often hit, I will say that. I would probably say 50-50 is client work, and the other half would be some leading lady stuff, which I own with Kristen, and we do more creative stuff. And then the rest would probably be more content creation, sales calls, like all the other stuff is kind of in there. So the only reason that I'm able to do, and like I said, I still want to grow more, grow my client base, is because of, and it feels like this was practice, but technology. So the reason that I can do that is because a lot of my stuff is automated. A lot of apps, the apps that I use are doing some of that behind the scenes work that I would have been doing manually when I first started, and kind of had to learn. And now a lot of it is that I can set things up, thankfully, to do some of that for me, or replace a person doing it for me. And so that allows me that, again, and that flexibility, because the apps don't stop working if I'm traveling or have something else going on, which is nice. The other stuff will back up, like my inbox, but the the accounting work I can usually wrangle with some different apps.
Yeah, I think that's certainly awesome. We have some good chat that's happening too, which I think is fantastic. I'm going to move us forward and talk about our specials. We work with apps throughout the year, so that was something we switched to during 2023. We wanted to provide ideas into app stacks, which, Kelly, that's a big part of why you're here, is that insight into internal app stacks, external app stacks. And one of the things that we are gathering from our apps that are with us throughout this year is they want to give us promotional items. And so, being bar themed, we got our daily specials, but we've got Cinder that you work with, and you're going to be sharing today some highlights and insights as to what you do with Cinder. So they've got this daily summary sync that I just wanted to make sure that we called out here.
Yeah, it is a newer feature. They released actually last year, but they've tweaked it since. But I don't want to go too far into it, so go ahead, do the other one.
Okay, I'm gonna say we're already like rolling. So.
Too far ahead. Okay.
Getting started.
Okay.
So, what problems are you solving for? This is one of those things that I always think about when evaluating apps, thinking about what apps to go and grab. So, do you have some insights here that you have whenever you're thinking about apps?
Yeah, so I feel like I have my core apps, my repetitive, kind of like use them all the time, every day kind of stuff. And then every once in a while, somebody comes along, let's say, with a problem that we haven't solved yet. And so I kind of start with, what are we looking for? What are we looking to solve? And then go and search for whatever kind of falls into that category, or has the feature or the thing that we're looking, to get done. And then go into more of the testing and figuring it out part. But I always start from what is the problem. I will say I'm easily distracted by like shiny new things. So for sure, when I see somebody mention something on Twitter, or I'm over here like Googling it, and definitely want to check it out. So that does happen. But when it comes down to something, to solve a problem for a client, that's where I start. What are we trying to do? What are we trying to get done? And then kind of work backwards from there.
Yeah, I love that squirrel.
Yeah.
It happens. I'm gonna throw this out here because Heather and I, throughout our careers, have worked really closely with apps. And I think that that's what got us into the positions that we're in now, is that was an area that we both truly enjoyed. When in our experiences that the apps are hungry for that input. You have also really dove deep into apps and partnerships. Do you want to kind of share like how that got started and what does that end up migrating and morphing into?
Yeah. So I guess I was doing it before I realized that partnerships and vendor partnerships are like a thing, right? So if I came across an app that I was really enjoying, or if somebody was looking for something online and I had, an answer, I was like, oh yeah, I use this thing and it's really great and you guys should check them out, that kind of stuff. But as I guess I started to become more outspoken in the social media realm, if you will, it started to become where, apps would reach out and say, oh, we noticed that you tried our program or whatever it was, and we'd be interested in getting more feedback and that kind of thing. So it really started with some honest feedback, or to some different, like, sharing advice, right? Like, I tried this thing and I liked it, you might want to check it out. um, and the way that it grew, I guess, as I grew into what I decided I wanted to do, so specializing in e-commerce and sticking with specifically QBO and all of that, it kind of started to naturally unfold into, well, I know my stuff, and maybe I can help you guys either get your message out or help you understand. My favorite part is when I help them understand from, like, the accountant side, why something doesn't make sense, or why we would prefer, a sales receipt to an invoice, or why I can't go into this type of account, or whatever that looks like. Um, because I think that the same way that we say to our clients, like, you started your business, that's what you're good at, I'm going to do, the financial stuff. They started, essentially a technology company or a fintech company, and they figured out how to do all the stuff that I for sure would never know, like coding and programming and whatever, right? I don't know how they make their thing talk to QuickBooks and click this button and, enter this number, like whatever it is, it works. Um, so let me then explain to you, kind of, for us, why this has to show up this way or that way, right? Like, they didn't start an accounting company. It's totally understandable that they wouldn't know exactly what it is that we're looking for. And especially sometimes when you talk to new apps, they're all like super excited and you're like, yeah, that's not, like, that's so sorry. That is so wrong. I'm going to help you understand why that doesn't make any sense. But, they know that they can create something that the idea behind it is to help or fix a problem. And that's what they're trying to solve for and grow a company around it. So I'm always happy to share feedback. I think that's probably the best part of working with different vendors, just being able to kind of help them hone, if you will, whatever it is they're offering is.
Totally. And I would even say sometimes they get surprised whenever you give them feedback and they're like, oh, that's your
Mhm.
problem. And so they were really trying to create this very elaborate solution. And you go, well, wait, you missed an easy step. And yeah, and they're like, oh, but it's because of
Mhm.
that perspective of what we're looking for, what our clients are looking for. We do have just a different vantage point. So it's a great team to be able to say, you could go create and do, but here's the parameters
Yeah.
of what we need you to create it in.
Yeah. Even QuickBooks now, they take like a poll on all the feedback every month now, and like publish, I think it's every quarter. They publish a whole thing about all the changes they made based on requests from users and accountants. And it's like, feedback can be really valuable. It's just getting that voice behind it and getting someone to listen. Obviously, I think that's the biggest hurdle, but typically they want to hear from you. So I say this too, it's like, I'm no different than someone else that's been, let's say, another bookkeeping firm for 8 years specializing in e-commerce, right? Like, you can totally reach out to apps and let them know that it's doing something incorrectly, or you notice a thing that could be done easier, or whatever it looks like. I really feel like they're open to feedback more than half of the time.
I agree with you. I agree with you. So we get the chance to to talk about your internal tech stack and anything that you want to share here before we go and dig in.
No, I'm like, I feel like we have a lot, so we should probably jump in. But
Go.
the internal stuff is like the behind the scenes stuff, right? So I feel like this would be different than maybe some of the accounting apps, but I didn't learn about some of them until I was in accounting, to be fair. So like 1Password, I never thought that I would need a password keeper. I've been using that one for years. I love it. It's on my phone. It's on my Chrome extension. There's an app on the computer. Either way, I can pretty much use it all the time. And like my whole life is in there in addition to, so you can have different vaults. So I have one for my personal stuff, one that I share with another person for the house stuff, like that kind of thing. And then my clients can be either in mine, or we create a vault for each one and make sure that we keep track of any, bank logins, credit cards, maybe it's Shopify, Amazon, whatever that looks like, just so that I can separate them out and tag them by client. So it makes it really easy. Honeybook is my CRM. And I started using it in 2020 because they were offering like 6 months for $1 or something, and I was super excited about it. But I wound up really liking it. So I have all of my clients go through there, and I use it essentially to manage that relationship. Send out my proposals that way. I have my legal contract in there. It has the ability to accept payments, and it integrates with QuickBooks. So it kind of does all the things that I wanted it to do. Google is, I feel like I live in Google. So Google's in my house. I have my Google Homes that are set up for different routines throughout the day. They tell me, when it's time to take lunch, take a break, walk my dog, turn on my light bulbs, that kind of stuff. But then on my computer, I use that for my calendar, my email, all of the things. I mean, I use docs and sheets instead of, Word and Excel. Yeah. So do I just keep going through this, or do you guys want to talk? I'm like,
You want to talk
I just
about
keep going.
Timular? Is that when
Oh
we
yeah. Oh yeah. I
about
showed
it?
you the thing you thought I was so cool, right?
Yeah.
Timular. It's also an app on the computer, but it is a Bluetooth device that you can, so like, I don't know if you can see, so you can write different things. You have different stickers, different colors according to what you're working on. So you get 8 activities essentially that you can choose from, and you just flip it so that it's the top one is the thing that you're doing. So it makes it where it's a physical thing that I switch to keep track of time. I don't track time by client per se, but I will track time for, let's say, how long I'm inside of QuickBooks, or how long I'm working on, one specific thing for a client. And I'll just kind of put that all into the same bucket. But yeah, it's so cool. I think it's like $10 or something, maybe even less than that per month. It's really not expensive. And I found you can buy the thingy on eBay too. Like you can buy it from them, but you can also buy it from eBay. Yeah, it's just really cool. Like I love it. And it gives you a
How did you
graph and everything.
How did you find it?
Instagram, maybe Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah, they got me with one of their like ads, and I was like, oh my God, this thing is so cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, to physically be able to see it, it's like, I'm supposed to be doing this, and there's your reminder.
Yes. Yeah.
That little bit of subliminal messages that makes you stay in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing and on task. I thought it was pretty darn clever.
I think I'm gonna need one of those, because I think that would work really, really well for me.
They're really cool.
Mhm.
Kristen definitely has one. Like Tiff just said, Naya has something similar. They're just that physical reminder that even when I get up and walk away from my desk, I remember to flip it. It's just a thing that I do kind of on auto. And then they give you a phone app. So let's say you're not in your office, but you want to track something, you can do it there too. And it's for teams. They have them for teams as well. So if you wanted everyone in the office to have one, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Super cool tech. I mean, I love it that you're sharing something with us that Heather and I both are like, that's new.
It's so cool. I'm gonna put the website in the chat because people are like, what is it called? And it is a weird name. So
I hope you have like an affiliate link so that you can like
I don't think I do.
Make some bank on this because we're all going out to buy one now.
Okay, I'm like, oh,
A
you don't
time
like that.
triangle.
Right. I want a time triangle.
I think you're gonna really like the next one too then, because we did a whole slide for just this one. And
Here you
it's
go.
yeah, so SaneBox is I'm gonna say life-changing. I know that sounds crazy, but it is the smartest, like AI driven filter for my inbox that I've ever worked with. It is so cool. So and actually I have to give Kristen credit. She's on here. So Kristen found it and then I decided to test it out, and so glad that I did. Basically it takes over your inbox, right? So it kind of just goes in and says, okay, let's take a look around. Let's see, who she's getting the most email from, different domains, what looks like a newsletter, what looks important, what can we maybe hold off until later, that kind of thing. And it says, okay, here, we did our best, take a look and, see if this worked for you. And the way that you train it is so simple. If something is in the wrong box, let's say it went into newsletters and it should have gone into your inbox and you wanted to see that one, you just drag it into inbox and it retrains the system to make sure that that always goes to you. It's so easy, like so awesome. It also, like for me, the newsletter filter was like major because I'm on a lot of different newsletters. And so my inbox always looked like it was so crowded. But I can do stuff like if this person, or if it's a calendar acceptance, just move it into the black hole. Like I never need to see it again. And then it creates this box called later, where it's like, hey, these are for you for sure, but they're not super important. So you don't have to see them right away. Just maybe once or twice a day, go into the later box and see if there's anything that you want to move over to your inbox. And it has like the stress of signing into my email and seeing like 200 on the bubble, which just makes me like want to close the window immediately. And I know for sure they're not even they're not client emails, because my clients talk to me in Liscio. So I'm like, these are all other emails that I'm convinced need my attention, and some of them really don't. So it has removed that anxiety of logging in and then having to feel like I'm gonna be stuck in my inbox the entire day. Just awful feeling.
So we've got a really good question here.
Mhm.
First of all, we've got lots of comments because everybody's like, oh my gosh, email. Ugh. And it just doesn't ever slow down. It just keeps on coming in, keeps on coming
It
in.
really does.
But one of the questions that we've got here is, what about security with SaneBox? I haven't vetted SaneBox myself, but is that something that you try to monitor what email it's managing, or did you do some vetting about SaneBox?
A little bit. So it doesn't read the body of your emails. It only ever looks at the subject and the sender. So that gives me some, I guess, comfort. Also, it's native to Google, if I remember correctly, and it just sits kind of on top of. So it's in there, but it's not in there like it's something that's pulling outside. It's staying all within my inbox, from my understanding. And so I trusted their site and what Google had approved for them to be inside of Gmail.
Does it work with Outlook too?
I believe so.
Or
Yeah, it says it's,
okay.
According to their website, it's native to the email client. So probably Outlook 365, maybe, like whatever their
right
version is. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. It's
very cool.
It has, I'm telling you, game changer, like hours per week that I feel.
How long have you been using it, Kelly?
I want to say 7-8 months.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very
awesome.
It just keeps getting smarter. That's the word.
That's great.
It just
That's
keeps
awesome.
getting smarter. The more I teach it, the less I have to like worry about it.
Fantastic.
Well, and the other thing with all of these apps that we're talking about, if you find one that works for you, that's what makes it a really good solution. Because there's lots of them out there that do similar things, but if it doesn't work for you, then I say ditch it, try something next. So SaneBox is one that I think is newer to our space. So I think that's why there's a lot of interest in it. Out of the
Yeah.
work.
They win our 3-tiered pricing. The names for their 3-tiered pricing levels too.
What are they?
Snack, lunch, and dinner.
Like a lunchbox, I guess. Yeah, for school or something.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
and it's pretty inexpensive. So
Yeah, I did the
not
lunch
bad at all.
version.
You did
because
lunch,
I
you're on
did
the
it-
lunch plan?
Yeah, I'm on the
Yeah.
lunch plan because I did my personal inbox too, and I did it. It was $100 for the whole year, and it was
Yeah.
Wow.
worth every
Yeah.
penny.
Wow, that's cheaper than a real school lunch.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's if you
Or a
get
conference lunch.
if you get the dinner version, which is 4 emails, it looks like it's about $1,000 a year. Or is that no?
No, it's
That's
3 months.
every 2 years. So
$2.99.
yeah, so it's $4.99 for 2 years, right?
years.
Okay,
Wow.
Yeah.
very cool. Yeah. Very
Yeah,
nice.
the inboxes that it's created and the ability to just siphon out the not important stuff it has taken away so much of the noise and that weird anxiety pressure that you get when you're like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
I have to see, is there anything in here that's on fire? Like most important emails to the top. It's done a really great job of doing that for me.
I predict, and I mean, we're already seeing this, but I think that apps like this, I'm starting to see features that are similar to this popping up inside my Microsoft 365 account. So I'm starting to see things going, hey, did you, like I had a notification within Office 365 over the weekend that it said it actually lists out emails. Actually, it's not even just emails, it's throughout the entire Office Microsoft 365 environment of where I promised people something. So when I go into the task manager in Microsoft 365, it'll say, it actually pulls out all the emails where I said, oh, I'll send that to you next week, or I'll take care of that for you. Then it's like, do you want to follow up on it? It's like, wow, like that's really cool. I never asked it to do that, but now I have a list at the top of my, planner that actually says, here's things where you made promises to people that you might forget about.
You know what's weird? My text messages do that now. So it reminds me if it's somebody's birthday, or if I sent you a question yesterday, it'll pop to the top and say, hey, did you want to follow up on this? And it's like, okay, weird, right? Like, because I guess it's a little strange because I feel like we're in a world now where we don't even have to remember things. Like we're getting to a point where if we said it, some piece of technology somewhere had like recorded it for us.
Right.
And yesterday my friend said something about, we were talking about someone else and where she went at like 4 a.m. and a calendar option popped up and asked me if I wanted to add an appointment to my calendar for 4 a.m. on Sunday. Because we were talking about something else. And I was like, wow, it's weirdly efficient.
It's weirdly efficient. And Kristen just said that I said that was very convicting, saying that I had all of these reminders. So I had done the things for most of them, because when I looked at it, I didn't get stressed out. And that's how I know, because if I hadn't done the things, then I would have been like, oh my gosh, thank goodness. But I just thought it was really interesting. So Kristen, thank you for believing in me first. And so I'm just teasing you, but I thought it was really interesting, but I'm not going to lie. There probably was 1 or 2. I was like, oh yeah, I really need to do that. I haven't done that yet. But for most of them, it was something where I'd already done it. So it's not, I don't think that it's able to tell if you've responded or not, because I do get in my email, somebody sent you an email 4 days ago or something, and you haven't responded. I do get those too. This is different.
Maybe
because
it's
going
picking up
across
on it when you're typing it, like when you're before it's going anywhere.
It's pulling it from my Teams messages that I'm sending to people. So it's not just my email, it's Teams and my email. Wow. And so it's looking for when I say, I will do blah. And then it's saying that you said that you would do blah. Have you done it?
Wow.
Right. Well, the
accountability almost
of whenever you send an email and you say it's attached, but then it's not attached.
Right.
Both Outlook and Gmail will give you an alert that says hey, did you mean to actually attach something?
Right.
So
How many
that's
times
kind of
in
logic.
my career have I sent off like an email that said attached and there was nothing attached? Yeah. Now it's like,
And you
hey,
can find, and you can find all the emails that you did attach it to by just searching for the word oops. Because that's how we start all of those.
that's the
Oops.
standard. Oops, here's the
Yeah.
attachment.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, okay,
I've
so
actually
I'm
gotten
gonna,
that. Somebody like, it's not attached. I'm like, it was attached. Like, where did it go?
where did it go?
But I
Right.
sent it.
So we're getting
That's cool.
a ask about sender. So I'm going to move us forward because yes, you are right, Scott. And we do have both internal and external apps.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
so Kelly, you want to take us through your external tech stack?
Okay. So I mentioned Lisio earlier. That is what I use to communicate with my clients in File Exchange. I say everything in my world, I always say I try to tie back into QuickBooks. So that's kind of like my little center with all my spokes that go out to all the other things. Motion is what I use for, I'm going to call it project management, task management, my jam, whatever it is that I need to remember. Actually super helpful for remembering things because there's a mobile app. And so when I can't sleep or something and I'm like, I can remember it in the morning. Dialpad, actually, shout out to Matthew. I see him. He's like, I love Dialpad. I use that for 2FA authentication. So any bank logins, credit cards, whatever I have access where I need to get a code, I always give my Dialpad number and it comes through to Slack. And it's a beautiful, seamless thing that I learned from Matthew on one of his webinars. So awesome, super helpful.
That's a biggie. That's a big takeaway there, because
Huge.
that's one of the biggest pain points in multi-person accounting firms is how do we get those multi-factor authentication codes for the whole team without giving out our personal phone numbers.
Yep.
So huge takeaway there, folks.
Major. And it has a direct integration. So you don't even have to do some wacky thing where you connect it and it's forwarded or anything. It's just, you can plug Dialpad right into a channel in Slack and whoever needs those codes, I mean, it'll show them all of them, but really it's only the one that's relevant to you that matters. So super, super helpful. Zapier, I use usually when there is not an app to do the thing that I need to do. And so we're building something that's going to kind of work on both sides. But the way that I use it on a regular basis, I actually learned from Heather, is anytime that I get a lead from the QuickBooks Find a Pro Advisor site, I have an immediate response that goes back to the sender that says, hey, so excited to meet with you. Like, here's a calendar link. Let me know what you want to meet about, et cetera. And then so they can go ahead, and I would say 95% of those turn into actual calls because people go ahead and click through. So amazing. Cinder, either I'm using it or it's doing something for me, I would say, on a daily basis at this point. So my e-commerce clients, the way that we connect their marketplaces or payment methods, whatever it might be, back to QuickBooks is through Cinder. I use them for, I would say, yeah, at this point, probably all of my clients, because they have two ways of importing that data. So you can have a daily summary, which is a journal entry that comes in the middle of the night, just basically summing up all the different platforms, marketplaces, any place where sales were made, and then bringing in any fees, FBA loans, any information from Amazon, Shopify, eBay, Walmart, Stripe, and there's so many, PayPal. So any of that goes into this journal entry and goes in, or I have clients that choose to do what we call per transaction sync. So every time a sale is made, there's a sales receipt that's created. Again, the fees are taken out. It's gone into a clearing account. It syncs seamlessly with so many different platforms. I'd say, I think I did a count yesterday because I was on with someone. There's like 39 integrations, and
Wow.
yeah. So, and I will say they are really great about testing things out. And so when it's released, like daily summary, it's pretty much ready to go at that point. And so, yeah, so I've been really impressed because I think Liz, you probably looked at them early on as well. Like, they've just grown so much and they've added so many features. but I have to say it's been my favorite app in that category to use, because it's so easy. Like once it's mapped, it's in there, it's great. You have the ability to roll it back. So if something was synced over to QuickBooks, but it shouldn't have been, it's really easy to just remove it. And then they have this other thing that I swear never talk about. When they have their episode, you have to tell them to talk about this thing. So they're called smart rules, and they're this like, if this, then that option. So you can have, let's say, you know, all of your Shopify sales receipts, you'd like them to have a class of Shopify. You can have it when you see Shopify in this memo, I want you to class it as Shopify in QuickBooks. So as the transaction comes in, it syncs, and then Cinder sends an update to that transaction, and now it has a class attached to it. You can do the same thing for locations. For one of them, I set up, you can do, if there's a sale, let's say over $500, and you want to make the customer service manager aware, you can send an email every time there's a sale that comes in from a specific platform or a specific customer. You can send a thank you email if you wanted to. So it'll send a copy of the sales receipt if you wanted it to come from QuickBooks. Like, it does some really cool stuff, and I swear they never talk about it. So
So
about it.
When I'm hearing about this, I know you're going to go into a little bit more detail about Cinder in just a minute, but I think that what I'm hearing is that this is scalable across your entire practice, because it's connecting with over 30 different, sales channels or platforms.
One program. So instead of having to learn one that does daily summary, one that does this, this does both, and you just choose per client which one you want to use.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, and we've got a question here. So Scott was asking, what's the difference between Cinder versus A2X? And, I'll say A2X is one of the originals that came on the market, and they are super powerful and strong whenever it comes to Shopify, Amazon, and there's another one I can't think of.
PayPal?
Huh?
PayPal?
PayPal?
No, it's not PayPal. Yeah, it is. It is PayPal.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the areas that it's really strong. But here, I'm going to go ahead and advance your next slide right there, because the thing that you are just speaking to is all of the different channels that they connect to. And then also you start pulling in all of these payment methods. And that's the thing that's so
It's the power. Yeah.
So Scott, I think that it's the variety that Cinder has.
I pulled up ATAX because I was curious, and I went to see they have about 6 integrations, and I'm sure, so just from using them in the past, I'm sure that they do those really well, and there's no question. But just in looking at these, I had somebody last week where we had to connect Shopify, eBay, Amazon, Etsy, Stripe. I'm like, Affirm and Afterpay, and I'm probably missing one, and I didn't have to go anywhere else.
Wow.
Like,
that's powerful.
And while I was on with the client, I was like, all right, I'm going to set this one up. You go log into eBay, and then you're going to log into Shopify, and you're just going to keep going until we've done it all. And so in one call, that was it. I started them on the syncing, and we pulled in all of 2022. It was just, that was it.
So I just want to highlight, so, we're coming up against our hour, but next Tuesday, we're actually going to do a deep dive into Cinder. So all of your questions that are coming in through chat, and there's a ton of them, we are going to be able to handle all of those, and we'll be in product with Cinder, with the Cinder team. So bring all of those questions to us next week, next Tuesday, 4:00, same bat channel, same bat time, and we're gonna do a deep dive into Cinder.
Bat channel will be here.
Bat channel. It would be, we gotta call it app channel. Same app channel. Yes. There we go.
Also, I saw someone asked if it syncs with desktop, and it does.
Ooh,
yay.
Nice.
I personally don't know enough about it to speak on it, but it does sync with desktop for sure.
That would definitely, so that'd be a great question to ask next week. And then Kelly, you gave us a tip that you said you want us to make sure to talk to them about their logic flow, or what did you say that they call it?
Smart rules.
Smart rules.
Yeah, think of like rules in the bank feed, kind of.
Cool. Love it.
Make sure to pull that in. I am so grateful for your time with us, Kelly.
Oh, thank you.
You
Yeah.
bring so many different apps and so many different perspectives. And, you know, if I'm going to go back one, I know I'm going backwards, but dial pad. I mean, like that was like huge for a lot of people that are here. We were talking about, you know, of course, our audience knows about Zapier, but to see a scenario where it's being utilized in a firm, that's fantastic.
But
And
also,
motion.
like, that is, so when we were talking earlier about our community and learning things, right? Like Matthew definitely taught me about Dialpad. Heather definitely taught me about Zapier. You know, like you learn, I feel like we pick up stuff from each other, you know? So if it's something where you were able to implement something that I can now do in my firm and it's going to save me that time. Like, and I'm always open to talking about it, right? Like if I have figured out a thing or a workflow and someone has a question, no problem. Like however I can help you get there so that it works for you, like happy to do it. I feel like I feel badly that Corpay is here and we didn't say anything about them, but my clients use them to pay their bills. So go ahead. They were the only we didn't talk about.
So I have the question that I want to know, because it seems to be coming up now in almost every conversation that I have is, Kelly, are you using ChatGPT? And if you are, how are you using it?
I'm like, not really. I used it more for fun, maybe like asking it questions or having it type something up for me, but I don't use it in the conventional like accounting sense and like all the cool stuff that I'm seeing online. No, I'm not using it like that.
I am just fascinated with it, and
I feel like that's right up your alley, though. Like
it is right up my alley. I have it connected to Zapier, so I'm doing some really cool automated stuff with ChatGPT. Yes, it's on Zapier, folks. And so that's really fun. But I'm gonna, you know, I just added a session. It's not listed, to Scaling New Heights, where we're gonna dig into ChatGPT. So I'm excited about teaching that. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, at least is asking if we're going to do a happy hour goes deep on ChatGPT. You know, that would be fun.
I think we're gonna have to, because Liz, you and I use it very differently.
We do, and you know, one of the things that's unusual though is, you know, I'm kind of digging Notion. I really I'm kind of enjoying that space, and ChatGPT and Notion kind of have some areas where they can overlap. So I think that would be a very, very fun episode. Absolutely. And Heather, you're doing some really cool things with ChatGPT and writing articles and several different areas.
Well, there's some really cool things that it's just going to get more powerful is the answer there. And it's mind blowing. It really is. So there's a lot of cool stuff to come out of it. So exciting. I have not used Notion, so I would love to hear about that sometime, Liz, for sure.
So you know what I find about it, because I see there's a question inside of chat too that's asking about it. Airtable. So if you're somebody who really likes Airtable, you know, that database concept is really what you've got, except for the way that Notion works is it's a whole lot easier to make stringed connections and then layers and layers deep. So that's where I'm using Notion instead of Airtable. I think that Airtable is really good for building apps. I think that Heather, you've built several different apps inside of Airtable. Notion is, yes, it can do that, but then there's also this layered approach. You know, there's a lot of people out there who like OneNote. OneNote is, I think of it being very linear, where Airtable and Notion just go so much deeper.
Gotcha.
So it'd be fun to do a Notion deep dive.
That would be fun. That would definitely be fun. We'll have to do some brain picking for sure on that.
Pick.
Very exciting.
So I want to also thank our sponsors. Again, you know, the concept that we have is we need tech stacks. So that is the reason that we have annual sponsors, is to be able to show how they actually work together. So we actually have some episodes that are coming up. They're going to show some different ways to integrate these apps together, which is so cool. And then a lot of the firms that are coming on to share with us what tech they're using, like Kelly, are also here, and they are sharing some of the tech that is part of our Appy Hour 2023 tech stacks, how to use them and at what point to use them.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Very cool.
Yes, make sure and check us out on social, stay connected with us. And then we've got a really cool episode that's coming up next week. So make sure to join us for that Cinder deep dive. And then we're going to be doing another firm spotlight. So that's going to be an amazing spotlight to go through into. Yeah, I know. Karen's great.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a great one.
Yeah.
And then, then we got our campfire chat on the 20th, which, that should be fun. I'm actually going to be joining that from New York City because
Ooh.
I am going to see The Cure at Madison Square Gardens on the
What?
20th, which just happens to be my birthday. And
Nice.
so I'm very excited. So I will be joining you, but it will be remote and it may be from my phone. Who knows? So
Sometimes you just got to roll with it, Heather. You got to go
sometimes
to
you just gotta,
yeah.
yeah.
On your birthday
So-
for sure.
That's
And The
awesome.
Cure, like, hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is going to be a fantastic day. Well,
Oh my gosh, Matthew, you please tell me you didn't just ask me who The Cure is.
No, he's just kidding. He's just
He
kidding.
must be
Oh,
kidding.
oh,
Yeah, I was like, he
kidding.
must be kidding. Like, no way.
Yeah, we had a whole conversation the other day. We went to my kids, they have a record player, you know, they're big into music. And so they were talking about how much better music sounds on a record than it does digitally. And then, you know, on a phone, it's just a whole different experience than an actual record player. So we went to a record store and they had Depeche Mode, probably different, like 20 different albums there. And then they had The Cure, and they had this whole like area that was dedicated to both Depeche Mode and The Cure. And the kids were like, what's going on here? And I was like, oh, that was a whole debate. Which one do you like? Which one do you think is better?
I was definitely, I've seen both of them and I love both of them. And I never felt like I had to choose. I never did. Never
was
felt like I
Depeche
had to
Mode fan.
choose between The Cure or the Depeche Mode. I've seen them both awesome. But if I had to choose, because now you put that in my head, Robert
choose.
Smith. Sorry.
Which one you're going to go with? The Cure?
I got to go with The Cure.
I got to go with Depeche Mode.
I
Okay.
would miss Depeche Mode, but if I had to choose,
But if I had
I
to,
would-
bye-bye.
I would go with The Cure. Yeah. And
So
then the other one is New Order. Oh my gosh, who just put that? Kristen, New Order is the correct answer. Yeah, New Order is.
New Order is the
that
correct
is-
answer. Yes.
That's awesome. So,
Okay.
yeah, New
I
Order
love
is
it.
pretty
Queen
awesome as
tickets.
well.
God, I would go to Queen. Yeah.
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
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 So, and we're gonna have a prom where we can listen to all this. So we're gonna have to come up with the ultimate prom playlist for sure.
Okay, I'm the only one. I'm going to see a bunch of country concerts that I'm very excited about.
I'm
Like,
so
everyone's
sorry,
talking about
Kelly.
music. Super
I'm
excited about that.
sorry.
How did you become our country representative here? Why?
From New York, live from New York City. Yeah, I'm the one who loves country
that's so
music.
fun.
It makes no
I'm
sense
in
to me outside.
Oklahoma and about the non most country person. What are you gonna
My
do?
God,
What are you gonna do? I don't own any cowboy boots.
All these bands, you guys are my people. Now they're talking about Erasure. Does anybody remember Blur or
No.
Flesh for Lulu? Those were two of my favorite bands too.
Yes.
Back in the day. I actually made a total fool of myself to the lead singer of Flesh for Lulu one day. I was like a stupid kid and I had to walk. It was one of those where I walked up and I was like, you were really good. But I was like, I couldn't believe I could actually walk up to him because we were at a bar and he was just standing there. I'm like, can't not take this opportunity to go up and talk to him. But then I came out with something so stupid as like, you were really good.
Aw, I'm sure he appreciated it.
He was very nice about it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a cool place to hang out, but they're a chicken shack is what it is here in my area. And they've got 3 different stages. So you can have different bands happening at the same time. And I mean, they get a little country town. That's a big, cool stage and set up there with 3 different places for bands to perform. And there was a group of young teenage girls, I want to say like middle school, they were going so ooh and gaga over the band that was playing. I was just like, that was so me at that time. And they're just
too.
adorable. And I was just like supporting him and cheering him on.
It
I was
was
like,
not
go
me.
girls, go.
My first
Yeah.
concert was the Spice Girls.
I saw
Yeah.
Spice Girls. They were so good.
So good at Jones Beach, like literally memorable. I can still see it to this day. It was very exciting.
Well,
But
Kelly, this will show the age difference between you
Mhm.
and I, because
Okay.
I went to the Spice Girls with my daughter. And I loved them, but I went with my daughter.
Yeah.
I also went to see Britney
Like-
Spears back in the day with my daughter too. That was really good too. That
I
was a
saw
really good
Britney
show.
Spears in Vegas. She was already grown.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
still
she
really
was
good.
great. Yeah.
So
It's
Sandy,
not until I go
yes,
see
me
somebody
too. I'm
that
the
I know.
metalhead of the group. So yeah. Mhm.
It's not until I go see a concert, like I'll go see an artist and it surprises me how much of their music I'll know and without realizing that I knew it. I'm like, wow, it's impressive. Like Britney Spears, I knew, I think, every single song. And I was like, how is that even possible? I'm not like a major, oh my God, Britney fan, but I knew all the music. I was very impressed.
Yeah.
Well, she had a lot of pop songs. I mean, it was a lot of radio heavy played songs.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we'll be
And
hearing
Liz is
all
the
of those
metalhead.
songs very soon at our prom, our very own prom.
I do
brother's
think
a
that we should
metalhead.
make, we got to make the ultimate prom playlist. So
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. Metallica, I could totally, Liz, I did like Metallica a lot, but I know that they were like the soft side of metal.
Yeah, I was
so
going to say
get
that's
it.
not
Yeah,
really.
yeah. No, I know.
They
I
don't
know.
get.
It's like the
Hey,
soft
but
side of metal.
it's okay. They've got some awesome Ministry. Yeah.
Yeah, Ministry.
Now we're talking. Yeah.
Lost.
Yeah.
But-
Fun
Anybody
time.
Bad
I love
Brains?
hanging out with
Bad
y'all.
Brains fan?
Huh?
Bad Brains? Anybody know who Bad Brains is?
I thought somebody
The-
mentioned, oh no, it was Bad Religion that somebody said.
Yeah. Yeah. All yeah. I remember going to, I didn't really enjoy those shows, but a lot of my friends liked they liked that punk rock.
Oh, I mean, you and I are from the day that like you could crowd surf and it was
Yes.
okay. Like people would
Yeah.
carry you and hold you and that kind of stuff and jump off.
We
the
wouldn't
stages.
step on each other. Yeah. The mosh
it's totally
pit,
different
right?
now. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like punk music too. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Well, this was fun. We just went 5 minutes over talking about
Okay.
music, which I think is absolutely the right thing to do. So we're not sorry.
No.
Um,
Not No.
Well, Kelly,
Thank you guys
thanks
for
for hanging out
having
with
me.
us.
Yeah, this is fun. Thank you so much. Also, I always say if you see me on social, if you have questions, reach out to me, LinkedIn, anytime. I will happily answer any questions.
Fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. Take care. Bye.